guys, what's up? It's Ari and you're watching my life through my eyes, and today is going to be a little bit different because it's going to be a sit down video and it's going to be my full labor and delivery birth story. So let's basically start with when I went into labor. And when I went into labor, it was August 18th. Around 5:30 a.m. is when I finally noticed, like, okay, something is up, something's happening, something's different, like, something's up. And so I was basically on my yoga ball because for the last few weeks of my pregnancy, I definitely was trying to stay on that yoga ball. I heard that it was really good for, like, delivery, to make it smoother, to get the baby in the right position in your cervix to be delivered. So I was on my yoga ball constantly. And I was on my yoga ball, 5:30 a.m., insomnia, couldn't sleep. My boyfriend was at work, and he was going to be home shortly, but I was just on my ball, rolling around, you know, doing all the little exercises. And I kind of felt like cramping, but, like, my stomach was getting tight, like a Braxton Hicks. And so, like, at first I thought it was maybe just Braxton Hicks, but, like, I wasn't sure. Then, like, move on some hours, my boyfriend got home around, like, 6:20, 6:30, and I think I fell asleep for, like, an hour or two. I really can't remember, but basically some hours had passed, and I remember the cramps were coming, like, every few hours at first, so I was like, okay, maybe it is Braxton Hicks, because before the past few weeks, my Braxton Hicks had been coming really irregular. They'll come every few hours, last a few minutes or whatever, last a few seconds. They'll irregular. So they were coming every few hours. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just Braxton Hicks. More time passes, and now we're in the afternoon of the 18th, and I definitely am like, I have to be in early labor because I'm at this point like feeling actual, like, real pain down there, and it's not like pain, but it's getting more painful than it was this morning, and I'm starting to have to, like, breathe through them. And actually, I'll have to, like, get a screenshot of the text messages that I sent to my sister, where I basically said, like, I think I'm in early labor, and they came running downstairs. And then all of our text messages after that were just my son being born and me in the hospital. I basically, at that point, knew I was in labor afternoon of the 18th. So I kind of am just going through the pain, the contractions. They're getting more stronger. I'm having to, like, breathe through them more. I'm not being able to talk through them. I haven't eaten much at this point because I haven't been hungry, and with me having these, like, contractions consistently, but just still, like, timed out, far apart, I wasn't in the mood to eat. I wasn't hungry. I just didn't eat for some reason. And so it gets to the afternoon of the 18th. I'm actually starting to get hungry, but my contractions are getting worse. So I'm trying to eat through, like, the breaks in between my contractions, but it's so fucking hard. I ended up, like, maybe eating, like, a fry or two. Like, I think my sister ordered sheets for me because I was so hungry, and I literally did not eat any of it until I think I got home from the hospital. But I basically, like, later the 18th, I was just contracting. I was going through it, and then I started to, like, not be able to talk through my contractions at all. Like, I was having to breathe through them and take, like, a minute and everything. So I think that's when we called the labor and delivery at my hospital that I gave birth at, and it was like probably like 9 or 10 at night at this point. We call, and they're like, okay, I tell them everything. And they're like, okay, well, come in when your contractions are, like, 3 to 5 minutes apart, and, like, you know, you're not able to talk at all through them. Like, you have to breathe through them. And I was like, okay. At this point, I think they were still, like, 30 minutes apart or so. I don't fully remember the time. But I basically wait some time. I wait until, like, they're 3 to 5 minutes apart. And they got to 3 to 5 minutes apart around probably, like, 11:30. We got to the hospital around, I think, that, like, 12, something like that. And I went to labor and delivery. They checked me out. They took me in, got my weight, my height. They put the belly band on my belly and was tracking my contractions. And I have small videos of that. There is already a video on my YouTube channel right now that is kind of just like the vlog of me giving birth. So go check that out, because a lot of the clips in there I'll probably be explaining right now. So you'll be able to, you'll see, you'll be able to get the visual there. But yeah, so they checked me out. I was contracting, so I was definitely in early labor. And I was only 3 centimeters dilated. And for reference, at my 36-week appointment, I was about 1.5 centimeters dilated, and she could feel his head, like when she did a cervical check, which I did not know is not super normal. I thought it was until I came home from my appointment and was like telling people and my mom, and they were like, she felt the head? And I was like, yeah, she felt his head. They were like, wow. I was like, wow. But yeah, so he was kind of already in the right position, far down the cervix and just ready. So he literally, I was already kind of dilated. I was 3 centimeters dilated when I went to the hospital when they checked me. And they kind of said like, okay, you have 2 options. You could either go home right now and like just wait it out and then come back when it's like worse, or like, when it gets worse, whatever. Or we can wait an hour and see if you dilate more, and if you do, then we'll admit you, basically. And I was like, okay, let's wait the hour. We waited about like an hour, hour and a half, I think, and then they came back in, they checked me. I was still 3 centimeters dilated. So I went home. And as I'm walking out the hospital, I'm literally having a contraction. Like, I was just in early labor, and I just had to go home and deal and wait until I dilated some more, because some hospitals accept at 3 centimeters, some hospitals accept at 4, and I'm pretty sure mine accepted at 4 since I was 3 and they didn't accept me. So I just had to go home and wait. And mind you, it's August 18th this is happening, okay? Now it's August 19th technically, because it's like 12 a.m., 1 a.m. by the time I went home. So August 19th, right? I had an induction date scheduled because I was just in so much pain at the end of my pregnancy. I could not. And my doctor was confident in him, and I was too. So I had an induction date scheduled for 39 weeks, and it was scheduled for the 21st, August 21st. But it was at night, so technically I wouldn't be getting the Pitocin and everything until the 22nd morning. But I was supposed to go in August 21st night for my induction. August 18th, I start contracting. August 19th now, I am for sure in early labor. I go home. I kind of just go into my bed. They gave me some heating packs, like that you can, instant ones. So I kind of just take those and I put them on my back and in front of like my stomach, my belly, because I was having back labor. So when I was contracting, not only was I like having some cramping and pain in the front, most of my pain was in my lower back, and it felt like somebody was just stepping and like stomping and just twisting on my lower back. Like, it was so painful. I like can't even fully describe that pain. So when I got home, I kind of just got into my bed and I put heating packs on my back, and I kind of just curled up into like a little ball fetal position, and I sat there until 6 a.m. and just contracted every 3 to 5 minutes, because my contractions were still every 3 to 5 minutes. So at this point, I was still like timing and tracking my contractions, but they were every 3 to 5 minutes for a few hours. And then I finally, at 6 a.m., I was like, it's so painful now. Like, it just increased. It's so intense. Like, I need to go back to the hospital. We need to go back. I need them to check me. I was like basically in tears at this point. And throughout this whole thing, my boyfriend was just sitting next to me on his phone, because he did not want to go to sleep with me being in so much pain. He couldn't. I even like rolled over and told him, I was like, you should probably get some sleep before we like end up going to the hospital. And he was just like, I can't sleep knowing that you're in this pain. So he was up this whole time, and we went to the hospital around 6 a.m. They took me back. They checked me. I was 5 centimeters. Thank God. Oh my God. Like, when I tell you guys, I was like, well, one, I was hoping 2 things. One, I was hoping I wasn't too far along, because I wanted to get the epidural. And 2, I was hoping I wasn't the same or like too low. But then again, like thinking I only dilated like 2 centimeters in like 4 or 5 hours. So I got to the hospital. I was 5 centimeters, so they accepted me and they admitted me, and I went to my room. I got, all done up. I got my IV and everything. But by the time that I was like in my room, I literally was like asking them like, when can I get my epidural? And they were like, well, the anesthesiologist is in surgery right now, so when he's done with that, then he'll be over here. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, when they said that to me, like, I was so tired. I was so hungry. I was exhausted. And I'm not sure how long this dude's about to be in the surgery for. Okay? I just want my epidural so I can not feel this fucking pain and I can relax and I can sleep. Okay? So I was not happy with that news, but he ended up coming in pretty fast. So, thank goodness to them, to their team, to the anesthesiologist, because my epidural did work. It didn't fail. It was just all good, which I wasn't really nervous about. But then again, I've heard horror stories. So thank goodness mine was good. Thank goodness. Thank you to the staff and everything. They very much took care of us. But I got my epidural. My boyfriend got back into the room because they didn't let anybody in the room while I was getting my epidural. It has to be sterilized and everything. And so they gave me my epidural. My boyfriend got back into the room. And by the time he got back into the room, oh, Miss Girl was already smiling and laughing. Like, when he left, I was in miserable pain, like, about to cry and everything. When he got back, I smiled when he walked in. And he was like, oh, she's back. And I was like, yep, I feel good now. But I will say, when I got the epidural, they gave it to me. We waited a little bit. You have to, like, wait for, like, your body to, like, regulate with the medicine, I guess. And then they, like, take some ice and they'll put it on your body and see if, like, it's working, if you can feel it or not. And they'll put it in, like, different areas to see, like, how far down it's working at and, like, how much it's working. And at first, like, I was still... like, I couldn't feel, like, my feet or my, like, calves, but, like, my thighs, I could still feel, like, my upper thighs when they put the ice on it. Very much so. It was very cold. So, they had to up the dosage, than the normal dosage, I guess, that they give people. They had to up it, or than the dosage they gave me, which they weren't expecting because of how small I was, but they had to up the dosage, and then I think, like, I had the button by me, too. If I needed more, I could just push it. And I think I only pushed that once after I got it and after, like, they made sure and gave me the extra dose and I was all good. I only pushed it once, and that was shortly before I gave birth. And it wasn't even fully, like, I was, like, actually having a feeling. I just felt like I could start feeling a little bit. So even the tiniest bit, I was just like, nope, not having that. So they popped my water at 6 centimeters, which was around, I think, 10 a.m. And when they popped my water, fun fact, fun story. Can't wait to tell my son this. When they popped my water, they popped it, and then his heart rate dropped for like a minute and 20 seconds or something like that. Like, it was a minute and some seconds. And 8 doctors rushed the fuck into my room. They put a surgical, like, cap on my head. Like, I'll show pictures. My birth pictures have them on, because after this whole situation happened, I never took it off. I didn't realize. I wasn't thinking about it. So they rushed in. They were like, if his heart rate doesn't come back up in a few seconds, we're going to rush you to emergency operation. I knew what that meant. My mom knew what that meant, because I was a C-section baby due to my heart rate dropping due to the cord wrapped around my neck. So when his heart rate dropped and they said emergency operation, I already knew that meant C-section, which is not what I wanted, like how I wanted my birth story to go, for real. Obviously, for the safety of me and my child, I would do it. I don't have a choice, but I would let it happen. But it's not how I wanted it to go. So they were like, they said all that. I'm sitting there, like, for a few seconds, and it felt like the whole room just stopped. And then they said that his heart rate came back up. They were all relieved. They were all good. We were all good. And it was all good after that. But that was a really big scare that could have gone a whole different direction. And yeah, so I'm glad I didn't, but it could have. So yeah, it says heart rate came back up. Everything was fine after that. And I ended up taking a nap after that. And me and my boyfriend ended up both taking a nap after that. And I think they came in around 3 probably. Well, they came in and like checked me I think before that, but like they came in around 3 to check me again. And when they came in around 3 to check me again, they said I was basically all ready. And they said, are you going to be ready to start pushing in, I think they said 30 minutes or 15 minutes. I can't remember either. But they basically said, I'll be back in like 20 minutes. Are you ready to start pushing? I was like, yeah, that sounds good to me. Shit, I'm about to have a baby. And they came back in like fucking 10 minutes. And there I was, pushing my kid out. So it was actually probably like 2:30. Because they came back and I started pushing. And I pushed for 31 minutes in total. I gave birth at 3:27 p.m. to my baby boy.
Oh my goodness, you're so handsome. You're a long little baby, ain't you, boy? Hello, baby.
Skip give me a little push.
Pushing was not that hard. I mean, I had the epidural, so like I couldn't really feel everything. But like for me, how my doctor was like explaining it was at first was like, you'll probably feel a little bit of pressure when it's time to push. Just listen to your body, and you know, we're gonna push while you have a contraction. So at first I was like, okay, can you tell me when I'm having a contraction? Because I was scared I wouldn't be able to feel the pressure of the contraction at first. And so she was like, yeah, you know, I'll tell you. So the first like 3 pushes, I think she told me. And then after that, I kind of like, I realized, and I went into my body and I could feel the pressure, and I could feel when I was ready to push after that. And so after that, it was like every time that I felt the pressure, I would immediately be like, okay, I need to push. And I would start pushing. And everybody around me said like every push I gave, like he would inch out a little bit. Like there was not one push that was wasted basically. So I pushed for 31 minutes and I did tear a little bit. It was a very, very minor internal tear like on the bottom. And I literally only got like 1 or 2 stitches, and she only stitched me up for my comfortability. Like it wasn't like crazy bleeding or anything like that. She just didn't want me to have any uncomfortability while using the bathroom afterwards and while healing. Which it healed up perfectly fine too. I went to my 6 weeks postpartum appointment. My stitches were healed perfectly fine, and everything was good. So like I was very, very, very lucky for that, and very grateful, because what I was scared about was like for natural vaginal was tearing. Like even if I didn't feel it, because I didn't feel me tear, I had the epidural, but I was scared because I couldn't feel it even more, that it could have happened. Like I was scared. I was hoping that I knew my body and that I was working with my body properly, because I was fucking scared, bro. So I did tear a little bit, but it was very minor and very, very like nothing. And I basically, after that, I had him. You know, we did what we did at the hospital, took our photos, people came to see us. You know, we adjusted to our new life as parents. I got Five Guys as my first meal in the hospital after I gave birth. I wanted sushi, but by the time that we ordered dinner, after everyone left for visiting hours and everything, there was no sushi places open. I really should have done it at like 3 p.m. But I wasn't really hungry at that point. And honestly, after I gave birth, I wasn't really hungry for the first few weeks. I was just real thirsty. I had to gain my appetite back. But that was basically my labor and delivery story. It's not like too crazy. I mean, it is a little mishap, but it's not too crazy. I was laughing with my nurses. You know, my boyfriend was making the nurses laugh and making me laugh. We were all talking and giggling and smiling, and you know, it was really beautiful. I had my in-law family on FaceTime. They didn't see anything, but they were behind me where they could hear me, and they were cheering me on. And when he was finally born and they laid him on my chest, I just don't know how to describe the feeling, but you just feel like your whole world right there, and it just feels so complete. And what you've been waiting and planning for and doing everything for the past 10 months is finally here and you can finally start your new life and your new chapter, and it's amazing. And seeing my boyfriend, like, see him and hold him for the first time, which, like, I'll just be popping photos up constantly, was so beautiful. He was 6 pounds, 15 ounces, 20 inches long. He was a long baby. Kind of small, but not too small, but he was a long baby. And he's beautiful. He's beautiful now. He was beautiful then. And I am so, so grateful and thankful for my nurses and my doctor. The, woman who delivered him was my OBGYN. So I went to her for my pregnancy as well as she delivered him, which is something I think is so cool to be able to experience, because I know a lot of people don't get to experience that. But I got to experience that, and I love that woman. I trust that woman with my whole life and with my kids' lives. And she was so encouraging, and even afterwards, like, she clearly cares about her about her patients. I actually have done a news interview with her. I'll probably upload that video on my YouTube soon of the clip of that, because I really truly do trust this woman. And if you are nearby in the area and, or she is your doctor, like, this is a little proof and comfortability that she is fucking amazing. And I plan on going back to her for my future kids as long as she's still in practice. Like, I love her. But yeah, I mean, it was a great moment of my life that I will never forget, and thinking about it makes me emotional. The pictures I have looking back makes me emotional. I mean, it's just so crazy. I mean, to this day, I still think it's crazy. Like, that's my kid. Like, literally, like, they just let me take that baby home. Like, where did he come from? It's crazy. But it's so meaningful, and I feel so full. And I, like, can't wait to have more. I can, but I can't. But, being a mom is so great, and I love being a mom. I have since the moment it started. Since the moment I got pregnant, for real. But that basically concludes this video. If you guys have any more questions about my labor and delivery, leave them down below. I can make an updated video or just a Q&A of labor and delivery, questions that I can answer, since obviously I went through it. And give this video a big ol' like, subscribe for more, follow the socials, because I definitely stay updated and post on there about me posting. I do polls for videos ideas, and just, stay updated about me and my life. There's some more stuff there. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.